It's the Frank Show. What? The Frank Show.
Frank.
Come on, the
Frank,
Frank
the
Show.
Frank.
What? The
Frank,
Frank
the
Show.
Frank.
Come on, the
Frank,
Frank
the
Show.
Frank.
What? The
Frank,
Frank
the
Show.
Frank.
Come on,
Frank,
Frank
the
Show.
Frank.
It's time for the show. Aloha, headsets. Frankie Boy here, hanging out in the room, and as promised to you, Ask Frank has now switched to Saturdays, where we compile all of your questions throughout the week and answer them in one show. Now, first up, from my boy Kenny Schmidt, do you really think the gaming industry is ready for full-on VR? Now, Kenny, I definitely think the gaming industry is ready for it, and I was just discussing this earlier with somebody else. Now, what if the original game developers had thought, hey, maybe it's not time to start making games. Maybe we'll wait a couple years till the tech catches up. Oh, imagine where we might be now. We may not have gotten a Game Boy. We may not have gotten the Atari. We may not have gotten 3D games if they thought, hey, let's wait. Let's not push 3D games yet. And so, no, I don't think so. I think that life is a constant trial and error, and I think gaming industry is a definite sign of that, and you can see it all over the place. And yes, some companies are definitely going to get it wrong, and some companies are going to do fantastic things, and it's survival of the fittest, baby. Darwinism at its finest. All right, CR4V, a bunch of letters that I can't remember. I'm sorry, buddy. Get a normal name, and I'll call out your normal name. Ask me about Elysium. Now, Elysium is a game that's kind of like an open world. They want to make it Grand Theft Auto-y, virtual reality. They say it's coming to PlayStation VR. Now, a lot of people have talked to me about this, and I'm semi-iffy about projects like this. Now, this is a crypto-based VR project. There's been a couple more that have popped up before. They've asked for people's money, and they have not shown anything really to the public. Now, I don't know if Elysium's like that. They may be 100% legit and have a great game coming out in the near future, but as it goes right now, I'm not really going to talk about it too much on the show because I don't want people to possibly pour cash into something that they could just be losing their hard-earned money to. So, once we do get a solid real project or some real information, or I jump into it, or they get more public demos, then we'll talk to our heart's content. Hollywood1651 says, hey, Frankie, my buddy just got PlayStation VR. What are the best games that we can play one-on-one? Now, the first thing, of course, that jumps into my mind is Farpoint, but that's not the only game. Any game that's multiplayer, you guys can pretty much set up a private lobby and play whatever you want. You can battle each other in mechs. You go racing. I mean, there are tons of options. You could hop into Spark if you want some kind of, like, physical sport. I mean, there are bunch of games out there for you guys to check out. Those are a couple of my first options for you, and I promise you the community will respond with some other options because they're wonderful. So just check the comments when this video is up, and I'm sure there'll be more choices than you'll ever even have time to play. Mike Kennedy says, hey, Frankie, you are stuck on a desert island with one game. What is that VR game? And Mike, I have answered this before as a person commented, but you know what? I can answer this one 8 trillion times. Super hot VR. Now, once Beat Saber comes to PlayStation, VR things might change because that's been what my one passion is, maybe replace super hot in the amount of time that I play. But you said PlayStation VR game, so PlayStation VR wise, super hot still takes my cake. And Matt3311 says, hey, Frankie, do you think that the PlayStation experience will be bigger for PlayStation VR this year than E3? Now, Matt, I don't know. I'm no psychic, but the PlayStation experience is definitely PlayStation-centric, so I bet we will see some of those games that we saw last year, maybe newer versions of them or jumps to them. A lot of people said, hey, why didn't we see Blood and Truth at the show? And I think it's because we just saw Blood and Truth for the most part. Maybe they didn't have anything new to share, so why are they going to share the exact same thing again? At least we all saw new stuff rather than stuff that we'd already heard about, which I personally prefer. So, to answer your question, I have no idea, but I definitely hope so, and I think so. I mean, VR is definitely an important part. I know that Sony realizes its potential. I know that they see the attach rate because it's higher than it ever has been before, and if you don't know what that means, it just means a bunch of people are buying more games than they normally buy for PlayStation VR than they do for, like, a console or the PC. They're getting, like, 5 or 6 games a month versus maybe your 1 or 2 games a month, which is nuts, and anybody that sells things knows that that's a big deal, so I promise you, PlayStation is pumping brain power into virtual reality. Ruby Osuna says, hey, Frankie, is Doom VFR any good? Now, Ruby, you're going to find a torn opinion on all of this, but at the end of the day, I really think that it's a great game. It's just not that great with the Move controllers, and it's a little awkward, but it's phenomenal, man. It's so much fun to play. It's so intense, and they recently actually just patched up Skyrim, which blew a bunch of people's minds. Well, it's about to be patched for anybody watching this video. We got a video coming out about that. Don't worry, I'll probably talk about it tomorrow or something. But Skyrim is getting a bunch of patches, and that means that they still care and they're still working on things. And I know that they know Skyrim is their big important game, so I'm hoping that now they got this out of the way, we'll see some of those tight fixes for Doom VFR. It's nothing terrible. Like left-handedness is a little awkward. There's a couple turning things. The moves could be better, but on the whole, man, it's an awesome game that you definitely need to try. Lee says, hey, Frankie, is it just as dark in a headset as the capture? Now, he's talking about the Arizona Sunshine Dead Man DLC, which is coming our way this July. And Lee, it actually is really dark. I think that they were trying to make an emphasis on you have to use the flashlight. You kind of have to feel uncomfortable. And it really sets the tone and sets the atmosphere. I like dark gameplay if you're going to do haunted horror because it sets you up. You don't know what's going to come. It makes it a little bit better. And in VR, it makes it a whole lot better. Drinks07 says, hey, Frankie, I respect that you're playing with the community at 2:30 Eastern time, but for those of us that work during those hours, we'd like to play with you on a weekend. And Drinks, I hear you, buddy. And you know what? I'm going to try to stream on Saturday afternoons or Sunday at some point in time so everybody can get along. Well, I'll try to figure out a solid time so we can get it out so everybody knows, but I understand. It's just that that's my lunch break, so that's my best time to stream because I'm at work from like 9. Well, not really 9. I say 9. I'm supposed to be there at 9, but I'm there until like 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock, and then at 2:30 till 4 is when I can stream, and then right after 4, I got to go back into work again, and I'm not out until like 10 or 11, and I hang out with my baby, and then I work on a channel, so those are really my best times, but I promise you guys, we'll figure out a weekend time that's nice, and it may be every other weekend, because you got to devote some weekend to family time, but I promise, we'll include everybody, don't you worry. Austin Ostergaard asked me what a lot of people have actually asked me before is, Frankie, what is your Rec Room ID? And I promise you, dude, it's PSVR Frank. I've heard there's imposters out there. I think I'm like level 15 to 16. I play a lot of Rec Royale, as you guys know from the stream. But yeah, it's PSVR Frank. That's all it is. I was the first one. Don't think anybody else has claimed up. Just straight up PSVR Frank. Sci-Fi Guy says, hey, Frankie, when is the patch coming for Virtual Reality? You have more information. Now, Sci-Fi Guy, I actually hope to be planning to go to Adult Swim Studios in July, and hopefully I'll find out more there if we don't know more, but they did recently reach out and say that they're hard at work on it. They just don't have a solid date 100% yet, but it is not that far away, and they're still thinking about us, so it's not going anywhere. It's coming. Don't worry. Virtual Reality is going to be as awesome as it should be on PlayStation VR. Marwin Adolf says, hey, Frankie, it's been a long time since I've played my PlayStation VR. What will help me get back into it? Now, buddy, if you've not tried Wipeout, Wipeout's nuts. That one's a little bit newer. Racing game, beautiful. The classic racing game you know and love, all in virtual reality. Skyrim, if you haven't checked out Skyrim, is phenomenal. Your boy Frankie's been playing a lot of To The Top, and Rec Royale is so much fun, but there are tons of options out there. Sculpt VR just came out. Excuse me, and the community is loving Sculpt VR. The dev actually reached out to me and told me that the PlayStation VR community, in the small amount of time that it's been out, has made more creations than any other PC community. We have so many more things in the shop to look at. We're loving the game. People loving the game. I mean, the PlayStation VR community is there. And that's what I told him. I was like, duh, dude, we're a real community. I mean, we're awesome. And it's true, and it's showing, and it's so awesome to see. So I know that it's not part of his question, but if you got Scope VR stuff, please hop on Discord, share them. I would love to see your Scope VR creations. And hopefully I'll have some of my own to share as well soon. And our final question, a slightly more personal question, so we saved the best for last. Stephen Bates says, hey, Frankie, it's not super personal. It's just not Frank Show related. Hey, he says, Frankie, I saw that you work in a restaurant. Stephen also works in a restaurant. He said, what kind of food do you make, buddy? I make Italian food, though. What do you think? I mean, come on. No, come on. That's the only kind of food there is out there. There's fast food and there's Italian food. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love food. I love all different kinds of food. Italian food just happens to be my favorite because I eat it every single day. I eat probably bolognese 4 times out of the week, if not more. A little chicken marsala. Ooh, some... What thinking about it gets me hungry. But yeah, Italian food, buddy. Because that's what we do. Now, I also had another, it wasn't really a question, it was an Ask Frank, and they said that they love Frankie personal stories. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys like personal stories? You want to know more? I mean, this is a VR channel, but some people do like Frankie, which is fine with me. You know, I ain't complaining. So if you guys are interested in that, just throw them on the Ask Frank. Tell me you want more. You guys are also always welcome to put Ask Frank questions on this video to be answered next Saturday. You can also put them, like I said, on any video, anywhere I search by Ask Frank. So as long as you put the hashtag Ask Frank, I'll find it. I also search by question marks just in case we get some. Don't have Ask Frank them because not everybody even cares or remembers to or sees the video where they should. But regardless, you guys, that's the easiest way to do it. That's the way that I will see it. And gals, sorry, I didn't mean to just say guys. But more important than all of that is thank you for coming through to the first episode of just straight up Ask Frank. Chilling in the environment. I hope you don't mind a more relaxed environment. I'm just hanging out. I didn't put all the green screen, do all the crazy Frank show stuff because I thought I wanted to make it more intimate. Like we're just sitting here in my room and I'm answering your questions. Now, you're amazing. I hope you like the show. I hope I get the figure. I hope you guys like the details. I don't know. It's fun to answer questions. I like answering questions. Ask me whatever. You can ask me any kind of questions. But more important than all of that is that if you want to stay up to date on any and everything PlayStation VR and you don't mind this ugly mug, friggin' subscribe. I mean, come on. Nah. Smooches. All right. Time to get to work. I gotta edit this video. Wow. Time for the wow. Time for the wow. Time for the Frank show.